most dangerous noise lives inside your head. Modern society glorifies a busy mind. They call it ambition, intelligence, drive. But the truth? A restless mind is not a sign of brilliance, it's a sign of bondage. Overthinking is not deep thinking. It's mental self-torture, a silent, invisible war waged inside your skull, where you're both prisoner and prison guard. You obsess over what they said, what you should have said. You replay the past, predict the future. You drown in what-ifs, and call it being responsible. But here's the Stoic truth. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. Most people never do. They don't realize that the mind, left unchecked, becomes the loudest enemy. One that never stops talking, never stops doubting, never lets you rest. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you truly had peace? If your thoughts feel like a storm, if silence feels like a stranger, stay with me, because this isn't a video about positive thinking. It's about liberation. 10 timeless Stoic strategies to help you break free from the mental noise. Reclaim your inner stillness. And remember, you are not your thoughts. 1. See your thoughts for what they are, not who you are. Overthinking doesn't always arrive with a warning. It's subtle. It's quiet, like a fog creeping in on a clear morning. Barely noticeable at first, until you can't see the road ahead. One small worry becomes 2. 2 become 10. And suddenly, you're lost in a storm of your own creation. In our hyper-connected world, this is the norm. Notifications, expectations, constant stimulation. Your mind becomes a battlefield of what-ifs and what could have been. And here's where the Stoics give us a powerful insight. You are not your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, reminds us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. But most of us never examine those thoughts. We just let them run wild, assuming they belong to us, define us. But what if you saw your overthinking for what it truly is? An external force, not an internal truth. Imagine this. Your thoughts are not your identity. They're clouds drifting across the sky. And you are the mountain beneath them, unmoving, steady, and eternal. You don't chase the clouds. You don't panic when they come. You watch them. Let them pass. This is the Stoic way. Practice mental detachment. Picture each invasive thought like a leaf floating on water. Let it drift. Don't grab it. Don't wrestle it. Just notice it and let it go. This isn't denial. It's awareness. A skill that, like a muscle, grows stronger the more you train it. Each time you feel overwhelmed, pause and say, this thought is not me. It is passing. This is how you take back power, not by fighting every thought, but by refusing to let it define you. Overthinking only gains power when you believe it speaks truth. But thoughts are just noise, and you are the silence beneath it. So the next time the fog rolls in, don't panic. Stand tall. Be the mountain. Watch the storm pass, because it will. 2. Reclaim your mind by redirecting its flow. Have you ever felt like your brain had 1,000 tabs open at once? Each one playing a different worry, regret, or prediction. None of them helpful. All of them loud. This is the cost of a mind left on autopilot. It chases every thought, every scenario, every fear. And when that happens, your energy gets scattered, your focus dissolves, and your inner peace vanishes. But here's the truth no one talks about. You don't have to follow every thought. You don't have to engage every worry. You can choose where your mind goes. And that choice is your power. Seneca once said, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Most of us do the opposite. We give away our energy to futures that haven't happened. We invest our mental strength in problems that only exist in imagination. But what if you brought your energy back? What if you grounded yourself in the task right in front of you? Not tomorrow. Not next week. Just now. The Stoics understood this deeply. To break the cycle of overthinking, you must act. Not dramatically. Not impulsively. Just deliberately. One focused action at a time. Clean your desk. Take a walk without your phone. Write down one thing you can complete today and do it with full attention. These are not distractions. They are acts of mental leadership. When you do this, something powerful happens. You reclaim command over your inner world. You stop reacting and start directing. Overthinking feeds on inertia. It grows in the gap between thought and action. So close that gap. Move your body. Move your hands. Move your focus. Let your actions pull your mind back from the noise. This isn't about perfection. You won't eliminate every anxious thought, but you can make them irrelevant by refusing to give them your energy. Discipline is not cold or rigid. It's compassionate. It says to your mind, I see you, but I'm choosing what matters now. And with each act of refocusing, your mental strength builds. You'll find the whirlwind of thoughts loses its grip, not all at once, but gradually, steadily, until peace becomes your default and overthinking just another cloud passing by. 3. Let go of what was never meant to stay. Some thoughts stick like thorns, a past conversation, a missed opportunity, a fear that keeps knocking at midnight. They settle in your mind, uninvited, unwanted, but somehow they stay, and so the loop begins. You replay, rethink, reanalyze. You try to outthink your pain, outrun your worry, but the more you think, the deeper you sink. This is the trap of permanence, the illusion that your thoughts are permanent, that they define you, that they have the right to stay. But the Stoics knew better. Epictetus said, "He who fears death will never do anything worthy of a man who is alive." This isn't just about death. It's about the courage to let go, the courage to live fully, knowing that nothing lasts. Everything in life is transient. Seasons change. People leave. Feelings pass. So why do we treat thoughts like monuments? They're not. They're clouds, leaves on a river. They come. They go. You don't need to fight them. You only need to stop holding on. Letting go is not weakness. It's not avoidance. It's strength. It's the quiet power of someone who refuses to be ruled by what they cannot control. So here's a practice. Simple, but profound. When a thought keeps returning, imagine placing it on a leaf. Now drop that leaf into a flowing stream. Watch it drift. Watch it disappear. Do this once, then again, then again. Train your mind to release. You'll start to feel space return. Room to breathe. Room to be. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about your peace to stop carrying what no longer belongs. This is how you break free from the grip of overthinking. Not by suppressing the thought, but by honoring its impermanence. Because no storm lasts forever, and no thought deserves to live in your mind rent-free. Let it pass, let it go, and return to stillness. 4. Give worry a schedule, then take back your life. Worry loves chaos. It thrives in silence, in still moments, in the gaps between tasks. Like a persistent hum in the background, always there, always draining. You try to focus, to enjoy a conversation, to rest, but then it appears. That voice, that fear, that question with no clear answer. It's like your mind is a stage and worry keeps showing up uninvited, stealing every spotlight. But what if you made a deal with it? What if you gave worry its own time, its own corner, its own place to speak? Not all day, not everywhere, just 20 minutes, and only when you allow it. The Stoics taught us to manage the mind, not surrender to it. Epictetus reminded us, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Why? Because peace requires letting go of appearances, of seeming composed when internally you're crumbling. So here's the strategy. It's simple but powerful. Pick a time each day, maybe 4 p.m. Set a timer. Sit down and let your worries talk. Write them out. Name them. Ask, what exactly am I afraid of? How likely is this to happen? What can I do about it? You'll often find that most worries are shadows, big in shape, small in substance. And when the time ends, you stop. You've given worry its moment. Now it needs to leave the stage. No more sneaking into your evenings or hijacking your mornings. This is not about eliminating worry. That's impossible. But it is about containing it. And by doing so, you regain control of your mental space. Think of it as tidying your inner room. You don't throw everything out. You just decide what belongs where. And you make sure the clutter doesn't spill into every corner of your day. When you do this consistently, something shifts. Worry no longer owns you. It answers to you. Because in the end, peace isn't the absence of problems. It's the discipline of placing them where they belong. 5. Turn mountains into pebbles with one small step. Overthinking is a weight you don't see. It doesn't sit on your shoulders. It sits inside your chest. Tight, heavy, a constant pressure that whispers, you can't handle this. You try to solve everything at once. The relationship, the career move, the future, and suddenly the problem feels the size of a mountain. Too big to move, too complex to fix. But here's what the Stoics knew. No mountain is climbed in a single leap. Every summit begins with a single step. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That means your obstacle isn't a dead end. It's an invitation, not to panic, not to shut down, but to move forward, slowly, deliberately. So the next time your thoughts feel overwhelming, stop and ask, what's one thing I can do right now? Not 10 things, not the entire plan, just the next step. Write the email, make the call, take the walk. Choose clarity over complexity. Think of it like untangling a knot. You don't rip it open. You find one thread. You pull gently, then another, and slowly the mess unravels. Every time you take action, no matter how small, you shrink the problem. You remind your mind that it has agency, that it can move, that it is not stuck. This is how overthinking loses its grip. Not through thinking more, but through doing. So the next time your mind says it's too much, you answer, maybe, but I'll take the first step anyway. Because in motion there is momentum, and in momentum there is freedom. 6. Gratitude is the lens that rewrites the story. Your mind can be a master storyteller, and too often it tells the wrong story. A story of lack, of failure, of everything that could go wrong and hasn't gone right. You wake up and immediately remember what's missing. The job you didn't get, the relationship that didn't work, the life that hasn't turned out the way you imagined. And so the spiral begins. But here's what most people never realize. Overthinking thrives in a mind focused on absence, on what's missing, on what hasn't happened. It loses its power when you focus on what is. Seneca said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." Gratitude isn't about pretending life is perfect. It's about shifting your gaze from the cracks in the glass to the light still shining through. And that shift can change everything. So here's the practice. Each day, take a quiet moment and name 3 things you're grateful for. Not grand things, real things, small things, true things. A warm cup of coffee, a friend's unexpected message, the way the sunlight touches your window. When you do this, you interrupt the story of lack. You reframe your mind. You reclaim your present. Because here's the truth. Your mind will always find something to obsess over. It's what minds do. But gratitude trains it to search in a different direction. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Suddenly, you're not drowning in what-ifs. You're anchored in what is. This isn't just about feeling better. It's about building emotional resilience, about teaching your mind to see clearly, to recognize abundance where it once saw emptiness. Because peace doesn't begin when life gets easier. It begins when you learn to see what's already good. 7. Measure your life by your effort, not the outcome. We live in a world obsessed with results. Promotions, likes, milestones, recognition. Every action is judged by what it produces. And slowly, without noticing, we begin to measure our worth the same way. If the outcome is uncertain, we hesitate. If success isn't guaranteed, we freeze. And so we overthink. We analyze every possibility. We try to predict the future instead of participating in the present. But the Stoics saw through that illusion. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it." That means don't talk about what matters. Live it, and focus on the part you control. You can't control how people respond. You can't control the market, or timing, or luck, but you can control how you show up, how much effort you give, how much heart you put in. So here's the question that cuts through overthinking. Am I doing my best with what I have right now? Not someday, not when it's perfect. Now, because when you focus on the work itself, the noise fades. The self-doubt loses oxygen. Your attention becomes a laser. Your actions become expressions of your values, not reactions to fear. This is how Stoics moved through the world. They didn't obsess over results. They obsessed over integrity, over discipline, over character. The goal isn't to control everything. It's to act with excellence, regardless of outcome. And when you do that consistently, something powerful happens. You become unshaken. Not because the world changes, but because you stop outsourcing your worth to things you can't control. Your life is not a scoreboard. It's a mirror. And every effort, no matter the result, is a reflection of who you've chosen to become. 8. Step into discomfort so it stops controlling you. Overthinking loves comfort. It lives in routines that feel safe but keep you stagnant. It feeds on predictability, on the illusion that if you prepare enough, nothing bad will happen. But here's the paradox. The more you avoid discomfort, the more power it gains over you. And the more you try to stay safe, the more your mind convinces you that danger is everywhere. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing." Life isn't smooth. It's rough, demanding, unpredictable. And to meet it well, you must train not just your body, but your mind to endure the unknown. This is where voluntary discomfort becomes a weapon. Not as punishment, not as self-denial, but as preparation, as strength training for the soul. Start with the small things. Take a cold shower. Leave your phone behind for a walk. Sleep without a pillow. Go somewhere unfamiliar and sit with the awkwardness. Each act sends a message to your brain. I can handle this. Discomfort doesn't destroy me. It shapes me. You begin to see fear for what it is, anticipation, not reality. And when discomfort is no longer foreign, it becomes less frightening. You stop overthinking what could go wrong, because you've already survived what wasn't easy. Voluntary discomfort creates a quiet confidence. Not loud, not showy, but rooted. The kind of strength that doesn't flinch when plans change or life throws a curveball. This is how the Stoics lived. They didn't seek comfort. They sought control over themselves. And in doing so, they found a peace no external condition could offer. So the next time your mind whispers, "What if I can't handle this?" answer it with action. Step into the discomfort. Let it stretch you. Let it strengthen you. And discover the calm that lives on the other side of fear. 9. Zoom out and remember, nothing lasts, not even this thought. Overthinking traps you in close-up. It makes small problems feel enormous. It convinces you that today's struggle will last forever. That one decision, one mistake, one unanswered question will define everything. But it won't. It never does. And the Stoics knew why. Seneca wrote, "We are not given a short life, but we make it short. We are not ill-supplied, but wasteful of it." The problem is not time. It's perspective. When you zoom in too far, all you see is the flaw, the missed opportunity, the fear, the noise. But when you step back, really step back, you see how small it all is. How most of what keeps you awake at night won't matter in a month. How the thoughts that feel heavy now will fade like mist at sunrise. How life, in its ever-changing rhythm, never stands still long enough for any one moment to define you. So here's the practice. When you feel overwhelmed, pause, breathe, and ask, will this matter in 5 years? Will I even remember it next season? Then go further. Picture yourself from a bird's eye view. Your street, your city, the earth itself. Where is your worry now? It's not about minimizing what you feel. It's about regaining clarity. The kind of clarity that only comes when you stop staring at the crack and start seeing the whole window again. This is the gift of reflecting on impermanence. It softens the grip of urgency. It calms the panic that says, "Fix this now," and replaces it with a deeper wisdom that says, "This too shall pass." Because nothing in life is permanent. Not the pain, not the fear, not even the thought you're having right now. Let that truth steady you. Let it humble you. Let it remind you that your time here is precious and too short to waste on what won't matter in the end. 10. Seek wisdom beyond the walls of your own mind. There comes a point when thinking turns inward so deeply, it starts to collapse in on itself. Like a room with no windows, your mind becomes a place where every reflection looks the same. Doubt mirrors doubt, fear amplifies fear, and clarity becomes a distant echo. Overthinking thrives in isolation, and yet we often wear it like a badge. We convince ourselves that we must figure everything out on our own, that asking for help is weakness, that needing others is failure. But that belief is a trap, and the Stoics knew it. Seneca once wrote, "Consult your friend on everything, especially on those matters concerning yourself." Because sometimes your own self-love, your own pride, your own blind spots will cloud your vision. The mind is not a fortress. It is a garden, and gardens need light. Sometimes that light comes from outside. A friend's perspective, a mentor's challenge, a book that names what you couldn't, a conversation that rearranges everything. This is not about handing over your power. It's about expanding your field of vision, letting others hold a mirror you can't hold for yourself. Speak your thoughts out loud. Ask for insight. Be humble enough to listen, even if what you hear is uncomfortable. Because often, the clarity you've been seeking isn't locked deep inside. It's just waiting to be reflected back to you. We are not meant to do life alone. Not emotionally, not intellectually, not spiritually. Even the wisest among us turn to others, not to be saved, but to be sharpened. Let your circle sharpen you. Let wisdom come from every direction, because you're not weak for needing help. You're wise for recognizing when your own mind needs a second set of eyes. 11. Practice the power of chosen silence. In a world addicted to noise, silence becomes a revolution. We scroll, reply, react, speak. Constantly, we fear the empty spaces in our day, so we fill them with distraction. And in doing so, we forget how to be with ourselves, with our own thoughts, with our own breath. But overthinking doesn't just come from too many thoughts. It comes from too little space between them. The Stoics valued silence not as a void, but as a discipline, a deliberate practice of restraint, of waiting before speaking, of listening not just to others, but to what your own soul is really saying beneath the noise. Epictetus taught, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." That wasn't just about communication. It was about inner clarity, the kind that only emerges when you stop filling the gaps. So here's the practice. Each day, create space for stillness, not as an escape, not as a luxury, but as a mental reset. Take a walk without headphones. Sit for 10 minutes in total quiet. Turn off the background noise and listen to what remains. At first, it will feel uncomfortable. Your mind will beg to be stimulated. But stay, because in that silence, you'll begin to hear the difference between thought and truth. You'll notice which voices belong to you and which were planted by fear, by expectation, by ego. Chosen silence is not passive. It is active self-possession. It is reclaiming the narrative. It is stepping back far enough to see the whole picture again. So stop filling every moment. Let some remain open. Because peace doesn't just live in answers. Sometimes it hides in the spaces between them. 12. Forgive yourself or be chained to every thought. Some of the loudest thoughts are not fears about the future. They're regrets about the past. You replay the moment. The thing you said, the thing you didn't, the choice you made, the one you avoided. And you ask yourself, why did I do that? What was I thinking? And then it begins. The quiet punishment. The overthinking that wears the mask of self-awareness but feels like self-condemnation. But here's the truth. You cannot think your way into healing. You can only forgive your way there. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Nowhere in that sentence does he mention reliving yesterday's mistakes. Because Stoicism isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about facing the past with honesty, but not letting it hold the whip. So here's the practice. When regret shows up, welcome it as a teacher, not a judge. Ask, what did I learn? How would I act differently now? Then speak to yourself as you would to a dear friend, not with blame, but with compassion and courage. Overthinking thrives when we confuse growth with guilt. But guilt is not growth. It's quicksand. And the more you stay there, the more you sink. Forgiveness is the rope, not a denial of responsibility, but a release of unnecessary suffering. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to learn and let go. You are allowed to move forward without dragging every past version of yourself behind you. So let yourself be new. Not someday, now. Because peace cannot live where shame is king, and your mind cannot rest if your heart is still punishing itself. 13. Align with nature, accept what is, and act anyway. At the root of overthinking lies one quiet fear we rarely name. We do not trust life, so we try to plan it to perfection. We try to outthink every moment before it happens. We treat uncertainty like an enemy that must be controlled. But the Stoics taught us something radically different. Not control, but cooperation. Not resistance, but alignment. Epictetus said, "Seek not for events to happen as you wish, but wish for events to happen as they do, and your life will flow well." This is not giving up. This is waking up to the truth that life unfolds whether we struggle or surrender. To the fact that the world will never fit our blueprint perfectly, and that maybe it was never supposed to. Overthinking is your mind refusing to let life be what it is. It is an endless attempt to edit what already exists. But peace arrives the moment you accept reality as your ally, not your adversary. So here's the practice. When life takes an unexpected turn, pause. Instead of asking why, ask what. What is within my power here? What response would honor who I want to become? Then act. Not because you have every answer, but because the next step is clear enough. And clarity, even when small, is more powerful than 1,000 anxious questions. To live like a Stoic is to stand in the flow of life without clinging, without fleeing. To move with the current when you can. And when you must stand, to stand with grace. You do not need certainty to be grounded. You only need alignment. with nature, with the present, with yourself. And once you find that, overthinking becomes unnecessary, because you are no longer trying to force life to bend. You are finally learning to bend with it and find strength in the movement. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who chooses what to do with them. Overthinking may feel like a part of who you are, but it isn't. It's a habit, a reflex, a storm that visits the mind, not the core of your being. The Stoics never promised a life free from noise. What they offered was a way to stand still inside the storm, to choose awareness over chaos, discipline over distraction, wisdom over worry. In these 13 principles, you've seen what that path looks like. Not abstract theory, but daily practice. From seeing your thoughts as separate from your identity, to embracing discomfort, to forgiving yourself, to aligning with the nature of things as they are. These aren't hacks. They are foundations. They don't silence the mind completely. They train it, sharpen it, free it. Now the question is no longer, how do I stop overthinking? The question is, when will I start living differently? So take one principle from this list. Just one. Practice it today, not tomorrow, not when life feels perfect. Now, this is the way change begins. And if this journey spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs it. Someone who's drowning in thoughts they don't know how to escape. Because wisdom multiplies when passed forward. Leave a comment and tell me which principle resonated with you most. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. Not just for more content, but to keep walking this path of strength, stillness, and self-mastery. Together, we're not just learning philosophy, we're learning how to live.